I was in Jerusalem, and kind of at the end of that 4 years, I was invited to go to this conference. And so I went, because who doesn't want to go to a conference in Jerusalem, right? So I go there, I'm doing this conference, and we had a chance to tour around a little bit. And then on the last day, it was a Friday, which, if you know about Jewish culture and history, that's the beginning of their Sabbath, and they take it seriously. Like, the whole city starts to shut down before nighttime on Friday. And on Friday afternoon, everyone in our conference was gathered on the southern steps of the temple, which, the temple was, of course, destroyed, but the first 5 steps on the southern side of the temple are original. Can you imagine that? Original, meaning the steps that Jesus walked up, the steps that he walked down as he left the temple for the last time were still there, and I got to sit on those steps. And I remember sitting on those steps, and it was this amazing moment, because remember, I was in this place of despair in my life, and I'm sitting on these steps that Jesus had walked on, and behind me is the ruins of the temple, and as I look off to my left, you can see the crest of the Mount of Olives, the Kidron Valley, and all at once, sort of this big story that God is writing became very real to me. Jesus became very real to me in that moment, and I realized that he really did come, that he really did walk with these 12, that he really did die, that he really did raise from the dead, and that he really is coming again. And all at once, my small story made sense. And I left that place, and I was walking with 2 friends as we were leaving and going back to our hotel. One was Canadian, one was South African. And one of the strangest moments in my life, we ended up being the only ones on this narrow street in the old city of Jerusalem, leaving that moment. And my heart was burning, because I had experienced the presence of Jesus and been reminded of his presence and his promises to me. And as we were walking down this narrow road, coming towards us from the other direction was an old man with a cane, walking very slowly, and a woman carrying a loaf of bread. And as they walked towards us, we kind of prepared to just kind of give them leeway and walk past. They stopped and they locked eyes with us, and the woman, without any words, started breaking off pieces of bread. And she started handing us these pieces of bread. And she said, "It's the Sabbath. This is our tradition. Eat, eat." And they just displayed this radical hospitality on the street right there. And the old man started a conversation with us, and he looked right at me, and he asked me a question I'll never forget. He said, "Son, are you a pilgrim? Son, are you a pilgrim?" And he gave in that moment words to what I had felt sitting on the southern steps of the temple, that word pilgrim, one on a journey, one along the way, all of a sudden defined what it meant for me to follow Jesus. That yes, I was in a difficult place in my life, but yes, Jesus is real, and that he invites me to journey with him. And when he said that, I said, "Yes, I'm a pilgrim." And then I'm having this incredibly visceral, emotional moment. And then he said something that shocked me. He said, "Well, then you have to get the pilgrim tattoo." And I said, "What in the world are you talking about?" He said, I own the oldest tattoo parlor in the world, and it's the tradition of Christian pilgrims for 800 years to get a tattoo on your right wrist to remember your pilgrimage to Jerusalem, to remember what you experienced. And he said, "You come tomorrow, and I'll give you a tattoo." And I said, "Well, don't I need an appointment?" And he said, "Don't worry about it. You're my friend. You come." And so I went back to my hotel room. My roommate, the South African, was skeptical. He thought this guy was maybe trying to con us or something. But I went and looked this guy up, and his name was Mr. Razook, and sure enough, he was all over the internet. He owns the oldest tattoo parlor in the world. His family has been tattooing Christian pilgrims to mark their journey for the last 800 years. And so that next morning we got up and we went, and there was 200 or 300 people in line. And there he was, the old man, sitting on a stool in front of this shop carved out into the stone of the old wall of the city. And he jumped up and he said, "My friend, you came." And he shoved me to the front of the line in front of these hundreds of people. And his son and grandson gave me the smallest tattoo in the world, the pilgrim's tattoo, which I have. And for me, whatever you think about tattoos, for me, this is a fig tree. This is a tangible reminder that every morning when I wake up, every night when I go to bed, regardless of what's happening in my life, regardless of the winter that I'm living in, I look at and I remember that spring is coming. I remember that Jesus will come again. And I don't know where you are, friends, but I imagine some of you need a fig tree. You need a tangible, visceral reminder that Jesus loves you, that the winter will one day end, and that he's coming again to make all things new.